Hello everyone, this is Argent with my 23andMe results. Now I'm going to apologize. Some images in this will probably look like shit, like this one. Also, some of them will probably be cut off and there'll be a lot of strange perspective changes. Why is that? Broadly speaking, it's because they plaster your name over every single surface of 23andMe. Like my real name was there, my real name was there. Literally in like every page they just code it with your name. So if you're trying to do a video and avoid getting doxxed, you have to be very careful. So I'm going to take you through and show you all the stuff they gave me, and we're going to go look at the results. Now we're going to start off with the thing that probably most people are interested in, and that is my ancestry. So that is where the ancestry, how it works in 23andMe. There's three options you can do. You can do conservative, standard, or speculative. I went with speculative because if we use... So I went with speculative, of course, because if I put this to conservative, it basically just puts broadly Northwest European for everything. And that's not really, it wouldn't really make for an interesting video. So, overall results, I am 99.8% European. So I guess by that measure, although it kind of depends how you define white, because I would probably consider Armenians and like Syrians and Assyrians and a lot of Turks and Georgians and a lot of like people who probably wouldn't be grouped as European on this as being white. But in terms of people who like everyone agrees are white, I'm pretty much 100% white. So let's go through the breakdown. So 95% of that is Northwest European. Now I'm sorry, I'm going to have to use this shitty paint image. But Northwest European is France, Germany, Scandinavia, Finland, and the British Isles. So that is the part that constitutes Northwestern Europe by this. So 95% of my DNA comes from that region. Specifically, we have 40% British Irish. See, this is a problem 23andMe has, is a lot of populations are very similar. So it's pretty easy to tell apart, say, like someone from China, someone from Britain, or even someone from Russia and someone from Britain. But when you get to like groups like Russians and Ukrainians, that's really hard because they're ethnically almost the same people who are more culturally and linguistically separated. When it comes to distinguishing between the Irish and Scottish, they're both Celtic, so it's difficult. Even though the English are kind of distinct, there's a lot of interbreeding there with the Celtic populations, so it's hard. So that's why they just have British Isles. Now, knowing what I do about my background, that's probably mainly English, maybe with a bit of Scottish thrown in there. Then we have Franco-German. Now, French and German are together because, once again, there's kind of a gradient. I mean, you have northeastern France is a lot more kind of Germanic. I mean, keep in mind, the division between the two was kind of arbitrary. You had the Holy Roman Empire. It fell apart. You had one half of the Holy Roman Empire became the Holy Roman Empire, which eventually became Germany. The other half became France, and then there was Burgundia, which was kind of like this middle area. They kind of just put them as one group. Then we have Scandinavian, which is interesting, because I don't know of any Scandinavian family members I have. But my last name, my actual last name, is Norman. Actually, I think my family were landed knights from what I was able to determine, but they came across and fought with William the Conqueror on my father's side, and they settled in part of England. And yeah, so my last name is an anglicized Norwegian name. So that, I think, comes from there. For whatever reason, over the almost 1,000 years or so, that little bit has been preserved. So that's pretty cool. Then we have 30% broadly Northwestern European. That means it's they know it's from that area of the world, but they can't definitively say, is it German, is it English, is it Dutch, is it whatever. And that's understandable, because I mean it's hard sometimes to tell apart like the Dutch and the Germans and the English and the Dutch, etc. I mean you can tell them apart, but genetics aren't exactly the same as physicality, but they're all kind of closely related populations. And then aside from that, I have 0.1% Iberian. To be fair, though, the fact that it's 0.1% makes me think it's a rounding error. I have 0% Jewish, no Ashkenaz. I don't think they have Sephardic. It's probably just under Arab or something. So I have no Jewish. And then 2.8% is broadly Europe, meaning they, sorry, I don't know, I hope nothing was cut off. They have no real idea what it is. Then I also have 0.1% Southeast Asian, which is really weird. I have no idea where that would come from. Once again, that could be a rounding error. That could be like a piece of data. It's just a strange thing to have there at such a low concentration. And then we have less than 1% Sub-Saharan African, which seems suspect to me. It's not that it would be impossible to maybe have like 500 years ago someone who was like a little black from North Africa or something. It's just really weird to have 0.1%. Like I was expecting to maybe get 1 or 2% Ashkenazi, because it's very common in Europe to have like some distant ancestor. But the fact that it's less than 0.1% and it's not even specific, it's broadly Sub-Saharan, seems to indicate to me that it's probably a rounding error, or it's probably just some inaccurate piece of data. Actually, give me a second. Let me just double check the conservative results. Okay, I turned it off. If you turn off speculative and just put it to standard, that goes into undefined. The 1%, the 0.1% Iberian, the Southeast Asian, and the Sub-Saharan African goes into undefined, which means this is just a guess. So I'm pretty much 100% European, which I'm actually surprised by. I thought I might have like a little something, but I'm pretty much 100% Western European. I have a little bit of broadly Southern European, but it's kind of interesting actually. Just yeah. So let's go into some other stuff now. Once again, sorry for the crappy quality and the perspective changes, but they put your name under fucking everything on this. So this is my maternal line. So my maternal haplogroup is J2. So that originates in, let's see here. A haplogroup J originated about 45,000 years ago on the Arabian Peninsula, just as modern humans were first expanding out of Africa and into the Eurasian continent. These migrations coincided with the spreading of farming into Europe about 7,000 years ago, and we have a big concentration of it there, etc. 1 second. So, maternal haplogroups are families of mitochondrial DNA that all trace back to a single mutation at a specific place in time. So, it's 20,000 years old. It's Dutch, German, Spanish, and Italian. So once again, broadly Northwestern European. And J2 came to Britain with the invading Anglo-Saxons. So I either got it from that or from... oh no, well that's my mother's side. My mother's not English. Okay, so yeah, I just got it from her because her family's German. Now I guess for the more important one, what is my paternal haplogroup? My paternal haplogroup is R1b. I believe that is the normal one for Western Europe. R1b is the most common haplogroup in Western Europe, where its branches are clustered in various populations. Is characteristic of the Basque. Oh no, that's specifically okay. 1 second, let me see here. Okay, the Basque. Well, another one reaches its peak in Ireland. And I'm just trying to see if they have mine there. It's most commonly found around the fringes of the North Sea. So that's, let me see if I can zoom in a bit. So, Yeah, I'm sorry. That doesn't really zoom in much. But yeah, Western Europe. But you can also see some of it in other parts of the world, particularly the Near East. I mean, the people there, I mean, you can say they're brown or whatever, but they are Caucasians. Let's look at the other thing. Let's see here. Paternal haplogroups are families of Y chromosomes that trace back to a single mutation at a specific place in time. So R1BB2 is a subgroup of R1B1, 17,000 years old. It's from Europe. Example populations are Irish, Basque, British, French. Well, I'm British, so yep. Most common haplogroup in Western Europe. Cool, so let's move on to some of the other stuff. Sorry, once again, forgive the shitty video quality, but they plaster your fucking name on everything. So, Neanderthal kin. What percentage Neanderthal are you? Now I am about 3% Neanderthal. You can't see, but the 2.7 is average European user. So I'm slightly above average, which makes sense considering my DNA is like Northwestern European. So mine's much higher than most people. So Neanderthals are, so I'm in the top 87th percentile of having the most Neanderthal. Heavy eyebrow ridge, I have that. Long, low, bigger skull. I have a huge skull. Prominent nose with developed nasal chambers. Yeah, I kind of do actually. So let's see here. So I am 87th percentile among European users. This here, sorry you can't see it, is example Japanese. So the Japanese are about 2.5. Example Chinese. Example Nigerian. So in general, I find Europeans are about 2.5 to 3% Neanderthal, and East Asians are a little lower than that, and Africans have virtually none, which is interesting. Now let's go look at some of the other stuff. So here, I'm just going to show you, this isn't as interesting, but here's just that other things they give you. So these are some genetic diseases that they test for. So let's see here. I don't know what most of these are, but celiac disease. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get these diseases otherwise. It just means you lack the specific genetic marker that indicates you have an above average chance of getting it. So as you can see, I fortunately have a clean bill of health except for Alzheimer's. Let's see here, which is too bad because that's probably one that's more likely. But no, for breast cancer, I don't have any risk. For Parkinson's, I don't. That's how confident they are. That varies a lot. For celiac disease, I don't have celiac disease. Let me just see what it looks like inside this. Okay, I couldn't do that because if you click on these, it brings up your name. So this is a list of drugs and how you would probably react to them. There are a couple of these which they can test for. I don't really recognize any of these. Some of them, I guess I have a slightly above or slightly less reacting chance to them. So that's kind of interesting. So they do test for these. These might be more useful for some other people. I know warfarin in general can be very dangerous. But nothing's really that interesting here, so we'll move on to another section. So here's some other diseases they test for. I don't really know what any of these are. I know cystic fibrosis. Fortunately, I don't have that. I don't know what most of these are, but they do test for them. Fortunately, I seem to be lacking all of them. Let's see here. Sickle cell anemia, that's one I actually recognize. Tay-Sachs disease, I recognize that. Usher syndrome. It seems like they're pretty confident. I'm pretty healthy. I don't have any of these major diseases. Familial Mediterranean fever. So let's go see. I think there's another more interesting section left. So here's some more interesting stuff. So these are genetic traits. These are I guess these are just kind of interesting things. These are not particularly necessarily good nor bad. It's just the way it is. So alcohol flush reaction. Let's see here. So I don't flush when I drink alcohol. Bitter taste. Apparently some people cannot taste bitterness, which is interesting. I never knew that was a genetic thing. Blonde hair, 10% chance. That makes sense. No one in my family's blonde. That makes sense. That would be 10%. Earwax type, wet. Yeah, it's wet, all right. Sorry, that's kind of gross. Let's see here. Eye color likely brown. I have dark brown eyes. In Europeans, 50. Yeah, I had a decent chance of having green eyes actually. My mother has green eyes. Hair curl in European, straighter hair on average. Yes, I have straight hair. Lactose intolerance. I am lactose tolerant, so that's correct. I'm not resistant to one form of malaria. Male pattern baldness. Typical odds. Muscle performance, sprinter. I actually have no idea how accurate that is. Novovirus resistance. I'm not sure what that is either. Red hair, less than 1% chance. No one in my family has red hair. Smoking behavior, birth weight. They don't know anything about that. Caffeine fast metabolizer. That's true. I metabolize things very quickly. That doesn't necessarily mean I get... Doesn't really seem to help with drugs. I mean, sorry, with weight loss that much, but I do take drugs go through pretty quick. Normally within about an hour of taking my medication, it's at its maximum effect. I'll have to see what height is. That's kind of interesting. Iris patterns, measures of obesity, photic sneeze impulse reflex. That's interesting. What is that? I'm not sure what that is. Response to exercise. We have sweet taste preference. Tooth development. Child and adolescent. Let me see if I can look at a couple of these. Pain sensitivity increased. Okay, so I looked a couple of these up. So if it's 3 stars, that means they really have no idea. Because like for height, it said that I was below average height when I'm actually substantially above average height. I'm over 6 feet tall. So I think that one was wrong, but let me just see if there's anything else that I haven't shown you yet. There's this global similarity map, which doesn't work, which is kind of annoying. Because I'd like to see where I'd go on this, but I think this is a good place to end off on. Because I just want to remind you all something. Race doesn't exist. Race doesn't exist. It's a social construct. Despite the fact that we can very clearly see Caucasian, African, Oceanian, East Asian. It's almost as if that they're like grouping. Let's see. They live in the Hindu mountains. Okay, right. A lot of them are blonde. Okay, so then we have like, we have like Afbaluchi, Sindhi, Brahi, Makri, etc. Okay, so that makes sense. Let me just see Near Eastern. I'm just trying to find where Persian is. Southern European, Northern Italian, Sardinian, Eastern European. I'm just trying to find where they put Iranian under. Let's see, your Native American. They don't seem to have. I just wonder where Pathan. Okay, those are Pashtuns. Those are Pakistanis, Uyghur, Kalash. Okay, European, Sardinian. Yeah, Sardinians are kind of unique. We have the Basques who are out over here, and they're Randys. They're cool Randys, but they're still Randys. Northern Italian, Italian, Tuscan, very similar. Eastern Europeans, Russian, Ukrainian. See what I mean? Like it's very difficult for them to tell it apart. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was interesting. That took way longer than it should have. Have a nice weekend, guys. What's left of it anyways. More videos to come.